Yes, hello. Hello. I love comic short stories. My name is Stefan Thor. I'm a writer from Iceland. Last year I published this book with 17 short stories, Grímur, the Masks, and I have translated a few, and I'm going to read the English version of a story called The Doctor. It may offend some readers or listeners, so please have in mind that this is just fiction, I think. The Doctor.
How's the sex?
The short, half-bald and stocky family doctor stared at her. The middle drawer of the desk was open, and he was rummaging in it with his right hand. It sounded like a pillbox. The doctor was quite pale and clearly sweaty on his forehead. The armpit was dark, at least one of the right side. It was visible as he continued rummaging through the drawer, and suddenly he put something into his mouth and then opened a pack of yellow Wrigley's chewing gum, which he took out of the same drawer. Gum? She shook her head. There was something wrong with this, and deep down she disliked the doctor, but he was usually good to her and was not as mean as some others.
Yeah, where were we? Yes, we were talking about sex.
The doctor continued, now leaning forward on the table. You were talking about sex, she thought. Because he was short and the chair was probably at the lowest position, it was really just his swollen face and the red neck that was visible, and the hands, those pale hands that seemed to reach up and towards her.
How's the sex?
He repeated, staring rather rudely at her blooming bosom, and she instinctively grabbed the neckline of her blouse. Why had she arrived in such a frilly blouse? Well, she stammered. It's the anxiety or fear. His cheeks twitched as he nodded. Anxious? Yes, exactly. Does it affect sex? Guðrún Hrefna bit her lip. Wasn't she over it? Of course she shouldn't let herself be treated like that. But she tried to see the conversation with the doctor as a part of a game or a program that had to be completed in order to get the solution. Therefore, she sat still, put her hands on the table, and took a deep breath so that her breasts obviously lifted up. It seemed to affect the doctor, who was sweating more than before. It's like, okay, or there's really not much to it now, muttered Guðrún.
It's a great waste and sin for humanity,
muttered the doctor, staring more intently at her cleavage, which was now more visible. His other hand disappeared under the table. Guðrún felt a growing sense of disgust. She was flustered. But she just had to get her pills. I just can't handle the anxiety, and then I become so sad and confused, and I have no interest in sex, except sometimes alone with myself in the bath. The doctor turned blue-black in the face and drooled, but wiped his mouth with the back of his left hand, because he seemed to be rummaging through the drawer with his right. And these pills, don't work anymore, said Gudrun as firmly as he could. Either I need a higher dose or some other drugs as well. You must also see that I'm quite a tall woman. I should need a much larger dose than a small woman. The doctor frowned at this reasoning and now apparently propped a pill. I reached for a cup on the table, sipped, and frowned ever so slightly. Gudrun felt nothing better than the smell of wine wafting from the cup.
Yes, body posture is important, but the main thing is that with regular use of benzodiazepine drugs, we build tolerance, and after a while we need to increase the dose to achieve the same effect.
He now rose to his feet and tried to button his gown, but the result was very poor, both because with his trembling fingers and this disparity in the size of the gown and the doctor's stature. Look, at the same rate we need such a large daily dose to mild the anxiety that would put an inexperienced person to sleep or stun a horse. He continued unnaked. He reached then for the stethoscope hanging on the wall. That's why these drugs are only given for a short time, preferably no longer than 4 to 6 weeks at a time. We need to clean the system now, and then before we can use these drugs again. Therefore, I recommend that you quit now. And Gudrun looked at him with horror. No, I can't. I feel so bad. I have to get more, or I can't stay awake or sleep. I just crash. Isn't there something? An icy grin appeared on the doctor's lips. Easy. I can prescribe a slightly higher dose and even other drugs that works. No worries. Just take your blouse off. Huh? Gudrun opened her eyes. Wait, what was she up to? The doctor smiled. Yes, if you wanted to do so well. I need to check your breath to see if your lungs can handle the increased dose, he said, dangling the stethoscope. You also smoke, if I remember correctly, and you have to be you have to be sure that the patient can tolerate a higher dose of sedatives. In fact, she had no choice. No matter how she felt about being bare-breasted in front of this man, he sounded convincing. And he was going to let her have more. He wasn't going to fail her. She started unbuttoning her blouse. Thank you.